It's a Friday morning. Are you guys excited? How much of you guys like Fridays? It's not a beer, it's juice in a can. So you guys all just settle down. Settle it down, ladies and gentlemen. It's really good stuff, though, by the way. It's only 50 calories for the whole can. No artificial colors, sugars, additives, all of that stuff. It's just plain, ordinary, boring juice. But I like it. But I like it. I like it like that. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Yes, once again, it's me and my little doggy Lily. We are here. We're going to be. I just mentioned her name and her tail starts going bonkers. It's like, oh my God, my name was mentioned. Holy crud, oh my God, my name was mentioned. I know. She's such a funny dog. All right, well, but aren't dogs kind of supposed to be funny to us? We got an exciting day, I think. We're going to do a live stream tonight. As always, we try to do live streams Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday nights. And then we do pop-ups over the weekend, depending on what we wind up doing, or if we can, find something interesting to do. Then, of course, this morning you're joining us, if you're catching this on the replay, which I know a lot of you guys do actually, believe it or not. Thank you all for the questions and the comments from these morning videos. I'm really stimulated, enthusiastic, excited that people actually listen to some of what I'm interpreting from these old Dale Carnegie books about how they made a lot of people very successful and very rich in the world. But they're definitely, need to be rewritten into the modern world. Maybe I'm going to email them and say, look, you guys really should rewrite these. Or maybe somebody else should. I'm not a good writer, or I would take all of his books and rewrite them for a modern world. But we can do that ourselves. And so what we're doing is we're going to be finishing up, I know it's backwards, how to develop self-confidence and influence people by public speaking by Dale Carnegie. I'll put the links to it and to these books in my videos. You can click on it and buy them if you want, read them. They're inexpensive, they're easy to read. So we're finishing up this book. Next week we'll start another one. I haven't decided which one I'm going to pick yet, but I'll do that shortly. So we are almost done with this great book. I hope you guys have learned a lot. I hope anyway. And I've learned a lot. Part of why I do this is truly for my own edification. I want to, and remember, I'm very honest, I'm very open-minded, but I tell you, I want to grow in social media enough that I can buy my wife a house. That's my primary goal. In order to do so, I have to continue to build and grow my own little social media empire. Now, would I be tickled to death if I became Mr. Beast? I don't know if I could handle being so much like Mr. Beast, but if I could be, I don't know, 1/20th, maybe I'd be good. Maybe that'd be okay, right? If we could make some serious money, or whatever your own personal goals are. I know a lot of people say, oh, we don't want to make money, we don't want to be famous, we're just on social media because. Oh, okay, all right. And I get this, the modern day social media is kind of like the water cooler. It's like the barber shop, it's like going to lunch with friends. And so social media has really turned into way more than, YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all that. So I still like Facebook. I know there for a while people said, oh, only old people use Facebook. But it does seem like a lot more young people are coming back to Facebook for some reason. So I don't know. I do believe that all of the rules around social media, I happen to, I kind of go, I don't know. Sometimes I think they're too strict and they're not allowing people to be who they really are, right? And so sometimes I think that. And I don't think, I don't know. But then I look at it and go, well, but then again, we can't go down into the gutters in social media. We don't want that on social media because everybody is on social media. But I do think it's sometimes I think it's a little too PG-ish. People get bent out of shape a little too easily in today's society. Because I do think the norms of today's society is not the norms of society back in the 1950s or 60s or 70s. So I think our norm has changed. And we kind of have to adapt with that. I'm not so for sure how well social media, the parent companies, do that. But with that said, we have to understand that social media is not a First Amendment platform. Social media is not that. It is companies. These are all these platforms are owned. They're a business. They're running a business, is what they're doing. So they have the right to tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, or don't do it at all, because it's their platform that we're using, that we're speaking on. Now, I do think Elon Musk's X tries to be more of an open-minded, but I still think there's word guidelines and hate guidelines. There's a lot of good guidelines in there, but it may be a little bit more freer. But so I think we have to understand as we build our social media empire, one, which type of social media do we want to focus on? Are we shotgunning it? How do we want to do this? We have to understand, and if we understand the rules and the platforms, right? So if we go out here and we understand all these platforms that we're on, social media, and we understand their rules, this is something we do this in reverse, all right? What we do is we jump on TikTok. I'm going to use that for an example. We start doing TikTok stuff, but we haven't really read the rules. We don't really have a good understanding of it. We just jump in feet first, right? Which is not a bad thing. We do the same thing of YouTube. We just kind of jump into it. I will say, and I didn't do this, but a smart person would step back, educate themselves on the ins and the outs, the pros and the cons, the do's and the do nots, on whatever platform you're going to be on before you jump in. I didn't do that. I don't think 99% of us do that, right? We kind of wing it and figure out as we go. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing to do, to be honest. So, but I hope everybody's doing great today. I hope your Fridays are good. I'm going to try, I'm feeling better. I've been a little under the weather this week, but I am feeling better. So I'm hoping I can get some things done around the house today. I got some things to do. Thank you all for the thumbs up and coming in. And yeah, we have a goal out there. We put I'm learning my social media tools, right? So we have a goal out there where I'm trying to raise, I don't know what it was, I think $1. And if I raise $1, I will wear tropical shirts and hats. So there you go. See how easy that is to accomplish? We got to make goals accomplishable. Here's what we do. I want to be, if you want to be Mr. Beast or Elon Musk, well, those are gigantic goals. And it's going to be very hard to achieve those goals. But, if you want to have 1,000 followers, well, that's a challenge, but you can do it. If you want 5,000 followers, well, that's a challenge, but doable. You just got to work at it. You got to work at it. All right, let me get started. And I'm going to finish up this book today, and I'm excited. I'm excited about which one I'm going to do next, to be honest. So part of what we're taught in like public speaking classes, English classes, sometimes old people will help us with this. Smart people will help us with this. Professional settings. It's really important to understand how to improve your word speak. All right, and so, well, what do you mean by that? What in the heck is he talking about? How to know your words, understand your words, know where to place certain words, know the definition of those. So we want to be able to, when we make videos, have people actually understand, not only by the visual effects that we're doing, but the words we are speaking, that's what we know we're talking about. That people can relate it and understand, go, oh, yeah. So even if they looked away for a minute and was looking over here, they could still hear you talk about what they're working on and they would know what you're talking about. My views, your world is in the house. Good to see you, my friend. How are you today? Good morning or good evening to you in the Philippines. So when we make our videos, we want to really think about, a lot of words. A lot of us will ad-lib, which sometimes can be humorous and funny and spontaneous. So I think you have these videos where you're doing that, and then you have videos where you're actually needing to think about your words. What message are we trying to convey? So let's get into that a little bit, which I think is really cool. One thing I liked was, understand this, that we are judged each day by our speech. Doing good, Taco Friday, waking up from a nap. Ooh, I like tacos. We don't have any good tacos around here. I got kind of sick of, I don't know, I don't have any good tacos around here. We definitely don't eat Taco Bell. And the Mexican restaurant we've been going to, I've been very disappointed in them the last few times. So right now, I don't really have any good taco places. I'd like to have a taco. But every day we are judged by our speech. Now, one thing I learned over my many thousands of years being a student and a teacher was words speak volumes about yourself. Robert, we are in the United States currently right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the thumbs up and the shout out to everybody. Where are you from, Robert? What part of the world? So understand this, and I don't mean this to disrespect people, but if you're somebody that cusses all the time, well, most people are gonna depend on the environment. Now, if you're sitting out in the woods and working on a car and everybody's drunk and cussing a lot, maybe fits in. But if you're in a business meeting, it doesn't fit in. People assume that the person, let me just use this, that cusses a lot in public, one, they have a lack of vocabulary, meaning they can't choose a better word than the cuss word. And so we automatically say, well, they're either just being a dickhead, and say, there you go, I just cussed. They're either being a dickhead and throwing out the cuss words just because they can, or two, they're lazy and they don't want to use any other words. Three, it's so ingrained upon them that it's unbelievable. Or four, they don't know any other words. They don't know how to describe anything. So, other faces in the house, he apparently likes death metal songs. I think that's great. I think every musical genre needs to be supported. So you hang in there and you keep supporting them. So our spoken words reveal our refinements. They tell a discriminating listener of the company we have kept, who have we been around, our language, our vocabulary. They are the hallmarks of education and culture, and or therefore lack of. So what is your message? Do you want people to feel like you're articulate, that you know what you're talking about, that you're comfortable? Or do you want people to think you're, a tough guy, a mean guy, a rough guy, a badass who can despair? What message are you trying to make? Because your words are going to tell us that. You are in charge of how we see you. But we have always been criminalized since old times. We as in who? Me and you, we, the society. But remember, think about that. Our spoken word reveals who we are. Our refinements. Have we been refined? And maybe you don't want to be refined. I got a lot of friends that really enjoy just being good old hillbilly hicks. They don't want to be educated. They don't want to know how to properly pronounce a word. They don't really care about the definitions. They think it's snooty tooty. I don't want to be snooty tooty. I just like to drink hot hair like Boomhauer on King of the Hill. Even though he's extremely intelligent on that cartoon, if you never picked that up, Boomhauer is extremely intelligent. But we have a lot of people in our part of the world that don't want. That's the image they want. They want people to think they're a hillbilly, that they're a good old boy. They're just a good country boy. So this is the vocabulary they use. It doesn't make them dumb, but that's the image they want to portray. The good thing is, on your videos, when you build your social media content, you get to decide. Thank you all for the thumbs up, by the way, everybody, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done that. Everybody will get a topless photo of myself. If you subscribe and donate $10 million to the channel, you get a topless photo of myself. What do you want to be on your social media? How do you want to be seen, perceived, related to? What audience are you trying to get? Now, in each and every video can be different. You don't have to be the stick in the mud or country hillbilly in every video. You can change things up. I try to do that in some of my videos. I try to be more humorous sometimes, more serious. I try to play with things. I try to be more educational sometimes. Try to be a little bit more serious about things. My big thing is I do try to take a great bit of humor and things. I like to interject humor along with not sounding like I'm too big of an idiot, you know, which is not hard for me because I still have squishy brain syndrome from the coma I was in. So there's a lot of times my brain and my mouth doesn't coordinate well together. They just don't. They don't. And there are times that I spit out crap that I probably shouldn't say because I'm an extremely bluntly honest person. You know, I don't worry too much. I try in my older age, I try to be nice. I try to bring somebody along, but if you're an idiot, you're an idiot. What can you say, right? I mean, there's only so many times you can coddle a person before you got to say, no, you're wrong. So I just saw a video, a funny video, and I didn't watch the whole thing. So let me see if I can get this right. There's a video out there. There's apparently a guy named, or a statue in Texas called Big Tex, right? The statue Big Tex, I've never seen it, but it's somewhere in the great state of Texas. And apparently some senator lady or congressman or a city council person is offended that Big Tex is white. So she wants, and this is in her words, so see if you catch this. She's asking these people, what is it going to take to get the melatonin changed in big text? And you can tell those three people she's talking to are going, what the hell is this lady talking? She means melanin, the skin pigment. She wants big text to be darker, more reflective of Mexicans, I guess. I don't know what she wants. But she keeps using the word melatonin, which is something that helps you sleep. And so she keeps talking about, what do we got to do to get more melatonin into big text? And these people are looking like, I could just see it in their brain go, well, he's a statue. He doesn't really sleep. He's not alive. So she comes off completely like dumb as right. She may have had a valid point, but her valid point went out the window when she kept using the incorrect word. All right, it made her look stupid, and now she's a laughing stock on the internet. And poor old Big Tex is still being Big Tex, whoever the hell Big Tex is. I don't know. Has anybody ever seen the statue called Big Tex? I guess apparently one person is offended that he's white. So, but I guess he's been white all his life. I guess he was born white, built white. He's white. Now, he's probably dirty, from being out in the sun and the wind and the rains all these years. So I thought that was really a funny thing I saw today. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right. So, so we only have about I need to turn my light on. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Let me turn my light on so I can see a little better. You guys see me a little bit better? Maybe I'm better in the dark. So we are basically classified into 4 categories, we as individuals. Hello there, mate. How's it going? Eco, we're doing good, man. How are you? I'm assuming you're probably from the land down under. We have a lot of followers from the land down under. How are you? Thank you for being here. Thank you for the thumbs up. We're talking about social media today. We're talking about how to grow on social media. I have a whole series on social media growth and my interpretation as being a public speaker all my life and a teacher and an educator, taking old ways and making them new again. So we're working on that. We're working on it together, collectively. So I'm doing good. But we basically are classified or seen upon in 4 different ways. And let me read you the 4 ways. We are seen as what we do, by how we look, what we say, and how we say it. There are so many, and you got to be careful on social media because there's a lot of words you can't use, and you get into doghouse and the trouble. But here's the most important things. I want you to re-understand these 4 things. And if you take these in your everyday life, I don't care if it's social media, dating a girl, traveling, petting your dog, I don't care what it is, doing your job, going to work. 4 things that you really need to understand, all right? We are judged or seen by what we do, our actions, and a lot of times our actions will speak louder than words. By how we look, yes, we are judged upon how we look. What we say, the words that come out of our mouth, and how we say those words. And when you're building social media, you need to take all 4 of these into play. You need to put them into your dialogue, into your thought process, right? Thank you everybody for being here, and give us some thumbs up, you guys in the background. We appreciate you. Come forward, let us know who you are. I am here to be your internet life coach. I don't charge anything except for $1 million retainer fee. But other than that, I'll be your life and death coach. But today we're talking about how to build social media empires, how to make your social media better. And I'm not talking about the fancy stuff. I'm talking about the core things that a lot of us people learn going through business, growing up in education, taking public speaking, being a public speaker, things like that. How can we translate that into, because it is. Just one thing I would say is make sure you understand that your videos, when you make a video on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, you are speaking to the public. It's a form of public speaking. Ego says, I'm always willing to listen to wisdom. My friend, I'm always willing to give it and receive it. That's why I love feedback on my channel. I ask you guys all the time to give me feedback. I want to know what you think. If you have a different experience, a different point of view, I love it. I love education. I love learning. I love sharing knowledge. And there's a lot of times that I'm in large groups, I just sit and listen and make notes. And we're going to talk about notes in a minute. All right. We can control this. And if you don't, and the key is to understand those 4 points to build your content, right? And if you do that, you'll be successful. And be true to yourself. Because we are the ones who are painting the picture. We're the one writing the narrative about ourselves. We don't want others to do it. Now, others may get out there and try to smear us, troll us, campaign against us. It doesn't matter. If you stay steadfast in your effort to paint your own picture, you're going to be just fine. My view says 100 free in exchange for likes, subscribes. That's right. That's right. You got that right, my friend. Oh my God, you got that right. So just remember, you're painting your own picture. You're right. How do you want to be perceived in life? And can you get that message about how you want to be perceived across into your videos? And it may not just be you, and this is the other thing I understand. It's not necessarily just about how we want to be perceived, but how do our people in our videos how do we want them perceived? How about the objects that we're talking about? Maybe we're in the cars. Pat says, good morning, everybody. Pat, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you as always. So how are we going to want that car to be perceived? We use it by descriptive terminology. Negative terminology is going to give us a negative thought about that car. Positive, it's kind of like looking at an old beater and going, man, that car needs a lot of work. So you can either tear the car down about how bad it is, or you can look at it in the other coin, how positive it can be. All these cool things that can be done to the car. Pat saying hello to you, AJ, and everybody else. Thank you for doing that, Patrick. So we all know there's a lot of great authors like Mark Twain, the leader of the pack, who has a great ability with words. Kamala Harris is a prime example of somebody who has not mastered the English language. She's a word salad thrower upper person. Don't do that. Good morning, Pat, Pack and all. Hello, Dennis. Good to see you. Good morning, my friend Dennis. There's a lot of good people out there. But let me tell you about most people that speak well, like Dennis and Patrick and everybody else, AJ too. All you people when we're being articulate, what what a lot of people don't understand is there's been effort put into that. And this is what I'm going to tell you. I know maybe you don't like this. My wife's not a big fan of studying, but she is going back to school, so I'm very proud of her. But you need to study your topic. The words that you're going to choose is what we want to do. People like Mark Twain and many other famous authors, you know how they became so good with words and descriptives? They actually read the encyclopedias, they read the dictionary, they understood the true definition of words, the origins of words, where they come from. So you want to become a master of the words so that you understand them. When you understand the words that you're speaking on your videos and your audience will understand what you're talking about because you're the translator, you're the conveyor of that message, of that story that you're telling. And of course, yeah, we have to factor in our audience, being authentic to ourselves, all of that good stuff. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So know the words, know how to use it, when to use it. So Mark Twain was known to carry a dictionary around with him everywhere he went, and he did nothing but study words and definitions, the origins of words. Multiple authors read the dictionary, read thesauruses, understood the other meanings of words, different words, and how to talk about them. I wrote a note here. All right. And of course, when you're talking about these words and your language and your videos, I know we've talked a lot about this, but go ahead and understand that your body language helps you tell those words. If you have a word that you're talking about or an item you're talking about, you can use your body language to support the message you're trying to get across, the words you're trying to use. So we all know that. We can use that. We've talked about that quite a bit. So there's a lot of history behind words. And what I'm going to encourage you to do, and this is something I keep doing every day, and I do it right here. I got a notepad. You guys know how much I teach you all to have a notepad at hand. Because here's partly why it's important. When I am working on something and I don't understand a word, I write it down and I go look it up. I go find the definition, I find the origin of the word, the meaning of the word, the context of the word. I try to figure out how and if I am using that word correctly, or if it even fits into my scope of things. Maybe that word is just, that's really not for me. I don't say that. Well, there's alternatives to that word, all right? So here's an example. Let's talk about the word company. We're going to take this as an example. And there's a lot of them out there, but here's a simple one. The word company, like I work for Walmart, which is a company. I don't work for them, but they are a company, all right? The word company is derived from an old French word meaning companion, to company, companion. And companion is literally come with panis, which is for bread. Your companion is one with whom you have bread. So therefore, a company is really an association of people who are trying to make their bread together. Right? What do you think about that? Now, we could change that to money together with a company. Looks like Henry's friend is back in, saying this is WASP. His friend from Mississippi, I guess, saying Henry is still in the hospital. Henry's getting better, finally still can't talk very well, but he's awake and talking, functioning. That's good. But he still has a long ways to go. Well, just tell him to listen to the doctors and do what the doctor says. There you go. I mean, that's really all you can do at this point in time, right? So tell him we all wish him well. But we also understand, I guess as an old guy who's been through it, I understand there comes a point in time when the body says is enough and enough, and it's time to give up. And if he's to that point, then that's okay. We understand that. And we hope he gets better, but we do understand sometimes the body says enough is enough. And there's no shame in that. And maybe there's even some glory in that. I don't know. But hopefully he gets better. But just tell him to have peace with whatever is going on around him. Keith says, hello, everybody. Good to see you. Hello, Keith, my friend. How are you? So just remember that, right? The origins of your words, what they really mean. And in social media, most people are not going to nitpick you to death. I worked in college education, and I'm not a wordsmith by any stretch. And I got people all around me with PhDs and all these freaking degrees, Latin and English and all this shit. And they're always on emails trying to correct people. Well, that's not what, I'm like, you people all suck shit, So I had to learn the hard way. Keep a notepad by you everywhere you go. Or you can use your phone, whichever one. But I want you to take notes, right? I want you to look things up. And this is before you make a video. So let's say you're going to make a video on fat wiener dogs, which I happen to have one right over there. So what am I going to do? Well, what is a wiener dog? Let me go study that. Let me look that up and figure that out. What's the origin of it? Well, they're German. What were they bred for? Well, they're bred to be hunter dogs, right? They dig down in the tunnels and get rodents. Pat says, hello, Keith, good to see you. So we want to do our homework when we try to make a video about a topic. We really do. Because we don't want to come across like we're just faking it to make it. There is a lot when it comes to, fake it until you make it type of scenario. But you got to have some meat and potatoes. If you have no meat and potatoes, there is no dinner, right? Fact check things. Make sure you're using the right word in the right context. Be careful about using words that are inappropriate, especially in social media. Social media can be very finicky and touchy-minded, everybody, as we all know. We can't speak our mind in social media. That's the thing that bothers me the worst about social media, that we have this set up not for kids, right? We have social media where we don't want children watching our stuff. But yet, even with that, we cannot have a serious adult conversation on social media because we'll get flagged. You can't talk about poo-poos and dying and all these things I talk about. You can't talk about all this. You can't mention these words or you're going to get, and I don't like that. I understand that I have no right, I can't do anything about it because it's not my business platform. But I think it's really sad that we all have to talk into code on social media when this is supposed to be an adults only platform or live stream, because I marked it as adults only. So that bugs me. I don't know about you guys or what you guys think about that. Now, I take a lot of notes, as you know. I look things up when I'm making a video. I'm a horrible speller. I have dyslexia. And my biggest problem is 4 and 5 letter words. For some reason, my dyslexia hits the hardest with 4 and 5 letter words. So I literally have dictionary.com on my tab. And I use dictionary.com on my computer all the time. Been doing it for, 30 years. I will pull something, I'll put a word in and make sure I spell it correctly because I got dyslexia and I flip things like bread. I have a hard problem with the word bread and other things like that because I flip the vowels. So I work really hard to do that, and I rewrite it, and I try to look at it and understand it. And if I write something, I'll copy and paste it in the dictionary and make sure it's right. And then I look at alternative words for that, right? But if you're doing a video, if you're going to make a video about, your 1973 Stingray Corvette, and it's a really cool car, maybe you want to go out there and look at other videos about guys that have made really good videos on Corvettes. Write down some of their terminology, some of the things that they've said. We already talked about background enthusiasm, styling and profiling, looking the part. But if you need to, go back and do that. Now, and build that into your own video. Now, if you're watching, here's the great thing about social media, about videos. Here's one thing I absolutely love. I love the fact that I can watch a video. Like the other day, I don't know what it was, but I was watching a video and I'm like, what? So I paused it. I'm able to go back a little bit. I'm able to hear the guy tell me again. I write it down. I go back and hear it again. Wait, wait. So you can literally go backwards and forwards to figure out what the person really is saying, because that's the information you need. Then write it down in your notebook so you have it so you can move on. How to build my empire is doing nothing, Dave says. That's right. Empire building 101. Oh, I thought that was a bird attacking me, but I remembered I was inside. Backlash, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you and good morning to you. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well. You got me. All right. Now, I distracted myself. I got excited. But remember, go watch videos. Stop them, study them, get the words right. All right. Rewriting your statements over and over. One vehicle is broken and can't move the other, has no AC. AC, well, Dennis, our good friend Dennis from Canada, he can tell you how to get AC very easily. He's an AC magnet. I don't know if you knew that or not. Oh, wait a minute. You probably mean air conditioning, not arm candy. All right. Well, you got, what did they all say? Air conditioning is windows down at 55. Wasn't it 2 windows down, 2 at 55 or something like that? Wasn't there a funny saying about that? So we want to strive to say precisely what we mean to express the most of our thought. We want to be able to get that. Yes, air conditioning. All right, just checking. 4 at 60, 4 windows down at 60. Is that what it is? Well, the good news is winter will be here in a couple of months, and you won't need air conditioning. There you go. There you go. You know? If you were closer, I'd let you borrow my truck. My truck just sits in the driveway, doesn't go anywhere. So, but strive to be precise in your videos, what your message delivering at. Try not to be like me, who rambles on and goes down this road and that road and talks about things and all of that. Try to be precise in your direction. Take us on a journey, remember that? We want to give the details that support our words. So remember this. We can say a word on our video, and we can use descriptions as we go along that re-emphasizes the word we're talking about. It sends the same message, but you're not just repeating the word and word over. Because just saying a word is not necessarily very, very descriptive. We want to be descriptive in our language. Kelp says, hi, this is the first time I'm here. Who is the person in your profile picture? And I have started following you. Thank you for following us. That's my wife. My wife is the better half of the Adventures of the Philippine American Couple. That's my wife. She does a lot of videos too. You just happen to get stuck with me. So, and thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and say hey, everybody. What I hope you would do, Calp, is say hello to everybody else in the chat. It's very important that you acknowledge, and then they will acknowledge you back. So say hello to Pat and Backlash and all these other wonderful people. And that allows you guys to start developing a dialogue and getting to know one another to be a part of the PAC, all right? So be descriptive. Understand where you're going with this. Are you being sad? Your terminology, is it sad terminology, positive terminology? Where are you going with your storytelling? And what words support that? So remember, in the last chapter, we talked about developing a feeling. We want to get our audience to feel for our story. We want them to connect with us. And we do that by using description words, bringing them in, showing emotion. Because even if you're not very good at, inflection, pauses, eye looks, in your storytelling, even if you're not really good at emphasizing certain points and getting excited about things, you can still use descriptive words, right? that will help you tell your story, even if you're not animated. If you're not one of these people that talk with their hands like me and rock back and forth and get all excited and bend out of shape and do all of those things, you can still use your words to not to be like a Mia, not to be like a Mia, right? So choose your message, be descriptive, use adjectives, like beautiful and handsome and pretty. I mean, I just saw on the chat earlier, somebody called me handsome, said, man, because there's a goal on our live stream today. I think it's $1. If I raise $1, then I'm going to, as my promise of the YouTube goal, I have to wear a tropical shirt and tropical hat. See, I made that easy. If I collect $1, I have to wear tropical shirts and tropical hats. That's the goal. See, there's a goal down there. We've met 0 of it, by the way. But somebody said, oh, gee, I think that's his normal attire. And somebody else came into the chat and said, yes, that young man is always very handsomely dressed. There you go. So remember this. Instead of just saying, a basic word, give it more thought. Go to the thesaurus, go to your dictionary, look words up, and find a. Now, I would be careful about being word salad like Kamala Harris was. And there's apparently some other politician who's trying to become a politician that's just as bad as she is. Don't do that. And then think of the word, if you're talking about a car. Now, a car, a lot of times we can equate to being a beautiful woman. Look at the lines, because men see cars as sexy as women. So you can use some of the adjectives that we might use: curvy, soft, smooth, long, lean, right? Shiny, like a diamond ring. So we can use words related to women in the automobile industry. We do it. We do it all the time. But you probably don't want to use it, for certain other things. I don't know. So if you're using the wrong words, it sets the wrong tone, the wrong mode, the wrong mood, probably not a good thing. Just keep that in mind. A lot of different things that you can say. Now, one of the big things I'm going to tell you, and I have a little bit of problem with this. I do, honestly, because I'm not super caught up in the world. I'm not one of these, middle-aged guys who knows everything that 20-year-olds are doing. I don't. I don't know who the music is for the 20-year-old kids. I don't know what they like to wear. I don't know what they like to shop for. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're drinking, whether it's Hennessy or Kentucky bourbon. I don't know what they're drinking. I don't know what they're doing, right? So, here's my point. This live stream could have been brought to you by V8, whatever this is, energy drink. To reach the maximum audience, to get the biggest picture out there, to get as many people as we can to come in and to connect with us, we got to be careful about using outdated phrases or ones that date ourselves. Remember, I talked about yesterday how you got to make sure you make videos that are evergreen videos. It's kind of like the similar line. We got to be careful, some of those old people referencing, and I learned this, and it's emphasized in all of his books, all of these Dale Carnegie books. They were written 70 years ago. So they talk about people that were dead and buried 100 years before these damn books were written. Way out of date. That's why somebody needs to rewrite these books and make them a modern take for the same strategy. And that's what I'm trying to do with these videos, is taking this old stuff and making it new and fresh into social media world. Now, because if we're always using old phrases, then the younger audience are not going to understand. Or we're always using, like, I thought it was funny last year, the big deal was what? 6'7", right? The kids always thought 6'7" was really cool. Well, most adults really didn't give a shit about 6'7". And so the kids would say 6'7", they'd come on our live streams and go 6'7", 6'7". The majority of the people didn't care because we were over the age of 20, right? So they would lose people coming in and showing 6'7", 6'7". Well, then it got twisted around where adults went, okay, well, how about 9 to 5? 9 5, 95, 9 to 5. Forget 6 7, get a job and work 9 to 5. So, outdated phrases, inappropriate phrases for your audience. So, got to be careful about those. And we got to be careful about on our videos using examples that are way old. You might, like the other day, and we do this all the time on these live streams, which is wrong. We talk about, how things were 50 years ago, or 70 years ago, 100 years ago. Or we talked about the car that we owned in the 1960s. Well, a 20-year-old's not going to relate to the car from the 1960s. Or the movie Dragnet. We talked about the television show Dragnet the other day. Most people under the age of 30 probably won't know what the hell Dragnet is or was. So they're not going to get the references. They're not going to get the point that you're trying to make by using things that are so far out of date. So we have to do better to try to find things that are more relatable to everybody, not just the old people that come in or just the young people that come in. And that's hard. It's hard for me because I haven't kept up. I don't know what the 30-year-olds are doing. I mean, I know a few 30-year-olds and I know what they're doing, but they work hard and mind their business. They're not doing anything but busting their ass, working hard. I don't know what they do. They don't really do anything. So I know, so that's something to keep in mind. And when we date ourselves, my view says, I'm 43 years of age, young man. When we date our video by using extremely old examples sometimes, well, then what we do is it's no longer evergreen because it's not relevant to the young people either. Now, if they're historical people like Abraham Lincoln, you can get away with it, I believe. But if it's some author, because I was reading this book and all over his books, because these are old books, but the strategies are sound, the stories are old. So many of these people, well, none of these people are alive today. But, talking about Abraham Lincoln, okay, we get that. Everybody knows who Abraham Lincoln is. But how many of you people know who Woodrow Wilson is? And I bet you, ask yourself, how many 20-year-olds know who Woodrow Wilson is? Very few, if any. He was a president, by the way. So that story is not going to relate to them. And we have to find stories. Remember, we're going to tell stories. We're storytellers. This is what we're doing in our videos. Whether it's a visual story, an audible story, or a combination, we're telling a story to our audience. So we got to relate things to our audience. And we want to make it broad enough that we bring in more people into our audience. We don't want to just say, and I see live streams, and I know live streams like this. But they got a bunch of old men on it, and that's what they do. They do the old men thing. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's the old men thing. Okay, great. When I first started YouTube, I'll tell you a funny story. And I guess this is just how naive I was. I'll tell you a funny story. All right. So back in the day when I was just a young YouTuber, I went on this live stream and chat, and as a chatter, not on a panel. And they were talking about men and women relationships. So I'm listening. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I got kicked out of it because, and I hate to say this, but they figured out it was an all-black channel. White people weren't supposed to be on there. I didn't know that. I'm sitting there having a conversation with these people, and somebody apparently looked up my channel and said, hey, that's a white guy, don't you? Why are we letting a white guy in here? And I'm like, am I not supposed to be in here? So I thought that was really funny. So I learned some lessons there, You got to know your audience, know what your live stream is doing, and they wanted that to be a closed loop for them. That's okay. No problem with that. I didn't know that at the time, but that's what they wanted. There's also fishing people that would they won't acknowledge anything but fishing comments. They won't acknowledge anything but car stuff. And so they can't have a broader approach and take things down a different river. Old men, I see this, and Anthony was really bad about this. That's why Anthony, our good friend, the Yank in the Philippines, I'm going to pick on him since he's always sending me shit on Facebook. Let me pick on him a little bit. Anthony was trying to build a good channel and was doing well, but all he got was the same old people, yakking about the same old shit on his live streams. And that just doesn't hold up well. 5168 says, hello, good to see you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being there. So it's just interesting. And if you want a closed group, you can have it. And that's what you got to ask yourself. On this video or that video or this live stream, what are you doing and what is your intended audience? And, you know, if you don't feel like you're an old guy, then don't go hang out with old guys. I don't see myself as an old guy. So I see some of these channels that are doing this old guy crap, and I'm just like, it's not me. You know, I'm young. I need to go to the channels that are young. Where are the young people at? Where are the smart, good-looking people at? That's where I need to go. So it's just interesting. But, you know, so I've been kicked out of chats before. All right. All right. So remember all of that. Synonyms are just a quote to have been taken from the treasury of words. We have, and one thing I want you guys to understand, and I really hope you will broaden your vocabulary. Do this by writing things down, making a note of it, searching that word and seeing what it means. Jimmy's in the house. Good to see you, Jimmy. Good morning. Hello, everybody. Everybody say hello to Jimmy. So I would encourage you to do that, then understand their meanings is what we have to do. Alternative words. Even if you choose to do a bunch of slang in your videos, it's going to come across that that's what you're choosing to do. That you do have the vocabulary and the ability to speak halfway intelligently, articulate, whatever it is you're trying to do. Because maybe you're trying to go down a certain road, and that's great. But you need to be able to do, if you're going to go down a hillbilly road, let me say this. Or you're going to try to make a video, a hillbilly-ish video, like I was going to try to pretend, I don't know. Or maybe I was going to try to become a smart person on a video. Maybe I would need to make sure whatever words I'm using, I actually understood those. What is, you know, if you're talking about moonshine, what is moonshine? If you're talking about, you know, the solar system, do you really understand the solar system? You need to understand the fundamentals of what you're talking about. You really do. And you need to be able to find alternative words. Don't keep repeating. The other problem we all have, and I'm really bad about this, is doing the pauses. Now, the only good thing, or many good things, but one good thing about when you're doing your video editing is if you screw up and put and pause and but, you know, if you put a lot of that in what you're talking about, you can cut a lot of that out. When you're public speaking, it's a little harder. You got to be aware of how many ums we put in things. We all know this, but it's the hardest thing to break. So that's why I tell you on your social media, what you do is if you're making a video, do it in segments. That way you can talk, show, take a pause, have a pause intentionally in there so you can cut it out and splice it together. And you can cut out the ums, but, or, you know, the hammering, the stuttering, the goofing off. You can cut that out. I am so old. I am here, Jimmy says. Jimmy is old. He's one of the old men group, right? Am I one of the old people group? I'm married to a young girl. So if you're married to, if you have a young wife, are you young? Or are you just a pervert? My wife's not that young, by the way. She had her 40th a while back. So let's not date ourselves in our videos. We want to keep them evergreen. We want to try not to reference things that nobody knows what the hell we're talking about. Nobody in the modern generation knows about, you know, the milkman delivering milk anymore. That's going away, right? In the next 10 years, 30 years, 20 years, that one, people, what? What did they do? Why would they deliver milk to your house? Well, gee, is that like Walmart? Was that a Walmart home delivery system back in the day? See what I mean? So you got to make a different reference to the relative age group that you're talking to. I don't know. Maybe you guys think I'm all crazy, but that's kind of what I think. It's what I feel. Jimmy is so old. Jimmy, how are you, my friend? Good morning to you. Is it almost afternoon? Almost. So let's go over the recap. Let's recap this last chapter of this book called, remember, we are reading Dale Carnegie's How to Develop Self-Confidence and Influence People by Public Speaking. Is what we're doing. And what I do, if you guys don't know in the background, is I read these books for my own self. I'm trying to find ways to improve my own YouTube channel and my Instagram and TikTok and all those other ones that I have. That's why I'm doing it. I'm just trying to share with you because as I talk about this and I teach this to you and we talk about this, it re-emphasizes, it reinforces the words in here into my own personal brain. Now that I've read it, I've spoken it, and sometimes I've written it because I've scribbled all over these books, I have a better understanding. I have really, truly brought in a lot of this into who I am. I can remember it, and hopefully I can implement it into my future videos going forward. That's why I take so many notes. Searching for the fountain of middle age. Is it? Yeah, it is. You know, we're going to change the rules. Middle age will be whatever Jimmy and I and Pat says it is. How's that? So we're going to, whatever. What is middle? That's a great question, to be honest. And I know it's a little bit off track. But what is middle age these days? What is middle age? Does anybody have a thought? I would say 40 to 65 would be middle age. Anybody over 65? Maybe you can start getting in the old age. And then middle age would be 40? I don't know. Remember, we're seeing 4 ways. We are known by 4 different ways. People see us 4 different ways. Or how they see us is by what we do, how we look, what we say, and how we say it. So when people see us, this is what they see from us. How do we look? What are we saying? Pat says hello to you, Jimmy. What we do, actions speak louder than words a lot of times. How we look, what we say, and how we say it. And you can incorporate this into your everyday life, whether it's dating girls or going on to the casinos, eating at Walmart, I don't care what it is, in any business setting, any setting. Keep those 4 things in mind. People see us, well, let's do them again. They see what we do, they see how we look, what we say, they hear what we say, and how we say it. Do we say it with compassion and empathy, or do we say it with a hate in our heart? Jimmy says, hello, Patrick. The girl at the bar last night said to me, don't get your hopes up, Grandpa. Ooh, that was cold. Don't get your hopes up, Grandpa. Holy shit and butt farts. That was a crapping butt, man. That sucks. I had a girl tell me, I think I've told this story before, but way back many thousands of years ago, my brother was a bartender. You know, he's a bad alcoholic, right? But he was a bartender. And one of the many times he didn't have a driver's license because of DWIs. There's one particular evening, a dark, stormy night in Arkansas. I had to go to the bar to pick him up. And I go in the bar and pick him up, and I wait for him at the end of the bar for him to get done. And some nasty ass old bar fly, a bar fly, nasty chain smoking, wrinkly face, alcoholic woman, smelt crappy, looked crappy, comes up and sits next to me and is like, well, if you weren't so fat, you would be good looking. And I said, yeah, well, you're never going to be good looking. And you smell like a big old pile of dog shit, lady. I don't know, bitch. Talk to me. I wasn't so fat from a drunk, skanky bar whore. You'd be good looking if you wasn't so fat. Yeah, well, you'd be better looking if you didn't exist. There you go. Story time. All right. Your speaking, your speech, your words you choose is a large reflection, understanding of how people are going to receive and perceive your videos. So choosing our words carefully, as we've all heard before. When we were little kids, somebody said, "You better choose your words carefully, boy, because you're getting ready to get the back of this hand." You know, well, I'll give you the back of my hand, all right. We want to choose our words carefully. We want to understand those words. We do. We want to understand the root of those words so that we understand the message we're trying to convey. And that's the most important thing when you're making videos. What message are you trying to convey? When we do live streams, a lot of times we're just running at the mouth having a good time, which I think is great. So please, David, please, I'm eating. I know, bitch. I still think of that fat, smelly, drunken, chain smoking, hooking cow. No, I don't. I don't have. She has no space in my brain. I just thought it was funny. So you got to think about when you're doing videos about how to be poetic, maybe storytelling, right? Shakespeare, the great speeches, the great orators. God, I keep Paul Harvey. Great orator. Man, I keep forgetting the names today for some reason. A lot of great storytellers out there. Go listen to them. I am trying really hard to get my mind right so that I can rewrite or write the story of my coma because it was very traumatic, as you guys all know. And I really want to put it down on paper. The problem is it's so emotional, I don't know how to write it I don't know how to write it. So I need to do better, but I am studying people that I might be able to steal from, the way that they do things after a tragedy. So I'm trying to find an orator because even written text is nothing but story. That's exactly what it is, right? But I need to do better. I need to do better my storytelling. Always study, write things down, make notes, have a dictionary. You got a dictionary on your phone. If somebody gives you a word and you don't understand it, write it down and go look it up. There's no harm in advancing your own personal knowledge. Whether ever you use the term ever again, it's still knowledge. Knowledge is power, folks. I know I come from an educational background, but I'm not a smart man. I'm just telling you, before my coma, people considered me smart. After my coma, me not so much. But I'm telling you, being articulate, being educated in the field that you're talking about will go further than you can imagine. Understanding the terminology. I think back to the movie called Days of Thunder. Remember Tom Cruise is in this movie with his wife, Nicole Kidman, Days of Thunder, and he was a hotshot race car driver. But he didn't know the terminology that they used in setting the car up. He didn't understand anything about the tires, about the draft. I don't know anything about NASCAR either, to be honest. But he point blankly at some point they figured out he didn't know what the hell they were talking about when they were asking him, "How's it handling? What's it doing? Is it doing this? Is it doing that?" He didn't know because he didn't know the language. So know the language that you're talking about in your videos. If you don't know it, study it, look it up, educate yourself. That's what we all should do. We can't all just spend all day looking at funny videos on YouTube and Facebook. All right, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can only do that half the day. So understand the historical context of things that you're doing. If you're talking about cars, antique cars, it's really good. Remember, we want to learn, people want to learn something new about something old. So if I'm watching a dude talking about cars, I love cars. I mean, I'm telling you, I have no money. If I had money, we'd have a problem. Me and Jay Leno would have a fight. But I don't know anything about them. So when I watch videos about cars, I like it when the people have a passion, but they talk about things I didn't know about the history of this car, like the Dusseldorf, thinking of Jay Leno. There's a history of things, why and who and how, or the history about the Dodge brothers or Ford, or all these things are fascinating. They're old things, relevant things, but we're learning something new. Study, study, study. Understand. Did you know the word salary actually means salt money? That's the historical data. Definition of salary was salt money. And of course, over time, it emerges into what we receive because people used to get their payment in salt, right? Interesting. Don't use shop-worn or threadbare words. Be precise, be exact. Don't be out of date. Don't use old crappy phrases that nobody uses anymore because they're not going to be relatable. They're not going to be real. Instead of using catchphrases from 100 years ago, just talk using normal terms. Just describe it better. So instead of setting a picture by a saying that happened 100 years ago that nobody knows about today, why do that? I probably do this a lot because as a history guy, I like old phrases. But, you know, or if you're going to say something like that, explain it. So, for example, well, you know, I like the phrase my grandmother used to say, "It's like pouring sand down a rat hole." Well, if you visualize pouring sand down a rat hole, you might understand it. But most people it's not because they don't know that rat holes are extremely deep. Like, what? What do you mean pouring sand down a rat hole? Well, they don't understand the terminology. It means you're wasting your time because all you're doing is putting the sand down the rat hole and the sand just keeps going and going and going because the rat hole's really big and it's not going to fill up. So if you're going to use something like that, you need to follow up with an explanation of it. Just put things in your own terms, your own words, your own descriptives. And I think things will come across much more authentic in your videos when you do this. All right. So the good news is that's the end of this book. We will start a new book. I don't know which one yet. So if you want to buy these, they're all my videos. You can just click the link there and go buy your whole collection of books or buy them individually. So if you want to read them yourselves, there's a lot of good books out there to read. So how's everybody else doing? All right, so that's the end of our educational session today. Now we will talk shit. That's the life. So we do hope, ooh, what happened to my plant? I got a snake plant that's a little droopy. That's unusual. I wonder what happened. I've been watering it. Man, a lot of my plants are suffering. I don't know. I'm not very good at keeping plants alive, I don't think. Not indoors, anyway. I do a pretty good job of gardening outdoors. I really like to do flowers. But indoors, I seem to struggle keeping things alive indoors. I don't know why. Can't be that hard, but apparently I have difficulty. My wife does a pretty good job, but I'm the one who has difficulties. You know, I don't know. I mean, what I'm doing wrong. I'm always doing something wrong, everybody. So what are you guys going to be doing today? What is on the agenda for today? Today's Friday for us. Can you have your milk and cookies now? Yes. But you know what, here's, what kind of milk do you want, Jimmy? That's the question. Do you want whole milk, 2%, 1%? Which type of milk do you want? It's Madam Lily. Come here. No, I'm not gonna pet you, Lily. Come here. You guys want to sit the dog named Lily? There's the dog named Lily. I saw a thing the other day about pig's milk, and I don't know if I ever got an answer to this video. But here's my dog named Lily. She's the crippled one. You see her bad paw. She's a good dog. You okay? You having a good day? All right. So thinking of milk, let's talk about milk a tiny bit. I got a lot of things to say about milk, Jimmy. Now that you brought up milk, let's talk about milk. All right. So here's the question. Can oat produce milk? Can almonds produce milk? You want the natural milk? You okay? All right. What? Nah, you're fine. Talking to the dog. So I have a problem with them calling the oils or juice or pulp from oats and almonds milk. I don't like that. I think that's wrong, and I think they shouldn't be allowed to call anything milk. It's kind of like the ice cream, non-ice cream thing. But here's another question I saw on the internet the other day. Remember that old question about hamburgers? About like, if there's 1 billion hamburgers being sold every day in the world, how many damn cows are there, right? Where are all the cows coming from? But kind of on that same track is the thing about milk. So we get milk from cows, goats, camels. They do drink camel milk, goat's milk, cow milk. I thought there was something else. What other animal? But the point was, with so much pork being eaten in the world and so many pigs out there, why aren't we milking pigs for the milk? And I'm like, wow. You know, I don't know if pig's milk is any good, but we can put a pig's heart in somebody and it matches a human, right? I think I saw that the other day. They're doing, the heart valves and things like that, right? Oh, what I got? You guys didn't tell me I had a cord on me. So, if we can take body pieces from pigs, why aren't we drinking pig's milk? Does anybody know? Maybe we can Google that, because I saw this video and I'm like, man, I'm so old. Powdered milk, 2%. I remember that powdered milk too. My father, when we were really poor, would bring it home to the Poor People Foundation. I can't remember what it was called. And we would make it into gallon jugs and stick it in the freezer. It was the nastiest crap, in the world. I remember that. Why don't we drink pig's milk? Now I can understand why people like Muslims wouldn't drink it. Remember powdered milk and that whole horrible cheese? All right. So ChatGPT or Google says this, must not be enough profit to have pig milk. Well, I think it is, and that's kind of what it says, profit driven, correct? We do not, AI overview from Google says, we do not drink pig's milk. Pigs are aggressive, means they'll piss you off and bite you, and produce very little milk. And they have anatomies that make milk nearly impossible to do. They produce low yield, so they produce very little milk. Wait a minute. A mother pig sow produces about 13 pounds of milk a day. Well, holy crap, that's a lot of milk to me. Whereas a dairy cow, but in comparison, a dairy cow produces 65 pounds of milk. I didn't know that. They only give it out in short bursts. Patrick, doesn't the Philippines sell gallon milk there? You mean in a gallon? They sell, their milk is unpasteurized. It's in the cardboard boxes or bags. It's what they sell. I don't know if they have a gallon size or not, yes. But I don't think they do. I think it's usually the smaller size, like a quart or a half a quart, because they stack better and all that. I don't think I've seen a gallon there. I can't remember. It also says there's a biological problem. Piggies cannot get pregnant again while they are lactating, meaning farmers cannot maintain continuous year-round supplies. So if they're lactating, they can't get pregnant. If they can't get pregnant, they make no more babies, so they're worthless. All right. I just thought, okay, all right. So now we know why we don't do pig's milk. But I saw that, I just caught that the other day and went, man, that's really cool. But no, I don't remember seeing gallon cartons. They may. But here's the question. I'm going to look that up in a second, Pat, but I'm going to ask this question. What is milk? And this is my problem with truth in advertising. I believe we ought to do like Japan does in other countries where, like in Japan, I think it's Japan, if they're going to sell you this marker, let's pretend that this was a cookie or a candy bar. They got to have a picture of the candy bar, the actual size of the candy bar on the packaging. So they can't have it bigger to make you think you're getting something bigger. They actually have to show the product what you're really getting. This is what you're buying. This is on the packet. Why can't we do that in America? Why can't we do that in America? We should do that. Truth in purchasing, truth in lending, but truth in purchasing. They should have to say exactly how big or small something really is. Instead of giving us a Snickers bar that's this long and is only half of a Snicker. Jimmy says, I was raised on powdered milk. There is no fresh milk in Taiwan back in those days, unless you were royalty. Well, I figured you would have been part of the royalty class, man. Could you imagine? I know royalty classes have a uniqueness, a beauty. I don't know. I can't think of my descriptive words. But I can only imagine Taiwan, the royalty class, when they're all dialed up, is one of the most colorful things that you could ever see, is what I could see in Taiwan, versus like the English, So, so here's my problem. Here's my problem with this. And here's something else I'll say about milk. Now that Jimmy brought it up, Jimmy, milk is a white liquid produced by female mammals to feed their babies. You can't have almond milk, ladies and gentlemen. Almonds aren't mammals. They don't have babies. Hello? So I have a real problem with that. I just don't like that. I'm going to call Mr. Trump and say, Mr. Trump, or whatever that Kennedy kid's name is, and say, we better change this because I don't like it. I don't know if they will or not. No. Now, the other thing to keep in mind about milk, and I do like this from a doctor that I read, talking about what is the purpose of milk? The purpose of milk is for mamas to feed their babies. So the theory is we shouldn't drink milk as adults because we're adults. Milk is designed to get you fat, to get you to rapid growth, right? That's what it is. But we're so convinced, part of the obesity epidemic in America. We're so convinced that we got to have milk for strong bones that we keep drinking milk all of our life. But milk production is for babies. It's to fatten animals up to give them a start on life. It was not biologically, naturally designed for us to drink until we're 900 years old. So think about that. If an adult cow doesn't drink milk, why would we drink milk as an adult? If an adult kangaroo doesn't drink milk, why would we? If they call it almond milk, they can charge, I know, 20, 30% milk, and they sell it to the crazy hippers who go, oh my God, I'm so healthy and organic, I drink almond milk. No, it's not almond milk, you butt lickers. I'm just telling you. So I have a real problem with that. I don't know if any of you guys have a problem with that, but I don't like it being called. So let's talk about powdered milk now that Jimmy brought that up. Jimmy. They don't give us powdered milk on the cruise ship, do they? I know they do the powered eggs, and I stay away from that, but I really don't drink milk on the cruise ship either. But everything else is powered, like all the lemonade and teas and all that crap seem to be powdered. Powdered milk is made by removing the water from the liquid milk through pasteurization, vacuum evaporation, and spray drying. The process turns perishable milk into a shelf-stable dry product. I wonder if they use acetic acid or nitric acid on it. I'm reading here. So, interesting, right? So what else in the world do we want to fix? So we have resolved the milk issue. We've come up with we've got it. Jimmy, Pat, all of us, we've got the milk issue under control. We're going to petition the government. We're going to make these changes and all that good stuff. Fresh milk is on cruise ships. I just wonder, because of the weight, the storage, stuff like that. Remember the Bram is kiln? Oh, I was going to look for that. Do they sell? Let me look at. I got an Asian grocery store right here on my thing. Let me get to the Filipinos. There we go. I'm looking in the world of the Philippines if they're selling gallons of milk. It doesn't appear so. A lot of powdered milk, a lot of imitation milks, variations of milk. They do sell some cream, a little bit of organic stuff, which is expensive. Rice milk. Yeah, Patrick, I don't see them selling it in the gallon size over in the Philippines. I've never seen it, and I looked at a grocery store, a Filipino grocery store's website, international store, that doesn't seem they carry anything in the gallon. So I'm happy. We have solved the milk issue, Jimmy. So we're going to petition the government. They're going to listen to us. Then they're going to reward us for our dedication and service to humanity by giving us each $1 million. $1 million. And we will all be rich and go on more cruises. So, there you go. I did, I know when I do my live stream tonight, I'll do a live stream tonight about 7. I know Tim is going to ask me if I called the cruise line. And yes, I did. I called the cruise line. I've been meaning to call the cruise line for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I finally did yesterday. I had free time yesterday, so I did it. Because what I had to do for all you cruisers is I wanted to. We're taking my mobility scooter, which is right there. See it? We're taking that on the cruise, of course. Now, I hope I don't got to use it, but through the airports and places like that. But what I did was, really wasn't happy. I called Carnival's customer service because apparently there's a big difference because I got a big lecture yesterday. I was yelled at on the phone. I was disciplined apparently yesterday while I called Carnival Cruise Lines. So I called customer service yesterday. And he said, okay, well, here's my booking number, whatever it is. I just want to make sure that it's on my reservation that I'm bringing a mobility scooter. What it is, that it fits, it's airline approved, blah, blah, blah. It fits all in, blah, blah, blah. And the lady's like, okay, no, it's not on here. I'm like, okay, great. And so she wasn't nice to start with. She just was a mean bitch. So you could just tell, she wasn't nice. So she took the information down and she's like, okay, have you talked to guest services yet? And I said, well, I have, but happy Friday to you all as well. Shep, how are you, my good friend? How are you? What's going on in your world? Good to see you. So the customer service lady, who was mean and nasty, said, have you talked to? You like my favorite? This is the one? This is one of my favorites. It is. I got this in Aruba, by the way. I bought this in Aruba. It's one of the most comfortable shirts there is, and it looks damn good on me. What can I say? And here's my Filipino necklace and my cool hat. So I'm getting ready for my cruise. So I talked to this customer, and she's like, well, have you talked to guest services? And I said, well, I did when I booked the cruise. But I said, but apparently, I can't remember how I said it, but apparently it didn't work because you're telling me on the reservation my scooter wasn't on the reservation. So apparently when I talked to guest services, it didn't work. And she's like, I'm just yelling at me. She's like, well, guest services is over there. We're customer service, and we're this, and we're that. And I'm like, okay, you're not getting what I said. And I said, okay, slow down. I'm going to explain to you what I mean. I talked to guest services, but apparently it's not in your system. So apparently my talk to guest services did not work. Well, I'm like, fine, just transfer me over there. Transfer me to anybody else but you. So I got over to guest services, and the lady was super sweet, super nice, of course, and got me all squared away. They did mess. It's just a mess. But it's all right. But that's why you always got to verify what you're doing. Never verify once. Verify twice and 3 times. And we know that, part of what I'm going to say is this. I watch a lot of cruising channels. I do. I like cruising videos. But a lot of it's lies. A lot of it's bullshit. A lot of it's clickbait. They're not as bad now. They're not as bad as everybody makes them out to be. Now, granted, the short ones with all the violence, yeah, I would avoid those. But what I mean is, they're not trying to hem you up and kick you off the ship. They're not trying to prevent you from getting on the ship, through customs. They want you to get through this process. That's why they tell you in great detail what you can bring and how to bring it, what not to bring. You can't bring heating elements. You can't bring drugs, illegal drugs. Pretty simple, right? You just, think about going on an airplane with the federal government. Obey those rules and you'll be good on a cruise ship. So I don't know. Shep, how are you? Hope you're doing well, by the way. So that's our cruise in October. We're going to be going to the Bahamas on Carnival. Jimmy, if you're still here, what's the name of the island for the new Carnival Island? I can't think of it because, my brain. What's the island there? We're going to the Bahamas, the Carnival Island in the Bahamas. We're going to Jamaica, then we're going to the Cayman Islands. Did she tell you don't get your hopes up? Oh, I know. Oh my God, I know, it's crazy. But we're good, Jimmy, on our cruise. But yeah, we're just trying to prevent us from being not boarded. My wife is in charge of the airline stuff, and she's really good at it. I should just let the wife do all the travel stuff, because my wife knows how to do travel stuff. She's got it down to a science. She keeps it organized. She writes things down. She makes notes. She's the travel agent in our house. I should just let her do everything. But I feel guilty, and I try to book the cruise myself. So I'm just double checking and triple checking what I did. Everybody say hello to Red Bull Princess. Hope everybody has a great day and a wonderful day. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thumbs up. Celebration Key. Thank you. That's what it is. Yeah, the Grand Bahamas Island, the Celebration Key. So the first place is Celebration Key, which is, if you don't know, is Carnival's own private little playland. There's really not a whole lot to do there except for the Carnival Celebration Key. You know, there's not a lot of great excursions on the Grand Bahamas. We've been there. Princess says, hello to you, Princess. Good to see you. So, and then we're going to Jamaica. There's really nothing exciting in Jamaica either, to be honest. But we're trying to, my wife loves to go to different countries. So we're going to go to Jamaica. We're probably just going to get off the boat and take a sightseeing tour and call it good in Jamaica. And then in the Grand Caymans, and Jimmy reminded me of this. And the nice thing was the customer service lady, the guest services lady, because apparently there's a gigantic difference. Don't you call me guest services. I'm customer services, you piece of shit. Well, take a chill. We're not in customer service over here. So, guest services is the good one. Customer services are the bad one. That's what I should say. Okay, so let me understand this. Customer services are mean, angry people. Guest services are the nice people. But in the Cayman Islands, Jimmy reminded me that it's a Tinder thing. So you got to take a Tinder over in the Caymans. And the nice guest services lady, when we were talking about the scooter and everything else, she reminded us, she's like, oh, let me remind you now, the Tinder, you have to take the Tinder over at the Cayman Islands, but it is mobility scooter friendly. And I'm like, oh, well, that's great, but we're not going to take the scooter. I booked an excursion where basically I won't need it. She's like, oh, well, that's, very nice. She's like, oh, well, that's smart. And I said, yeah, we should be able to just, hopefully get down to the bus, get on the bus and go do what we're going to do for the day and then come back. So we shouldn't need the mobility. We should not need to take my mobility scooter off of the cruise ship except for at Celebration Key in the Bahamas, and we'll take it off there and drive it around their private little resort is what we're going to do. So that's the big gigantic plan. But I will, if you guys want, as we get closer, I will let you guys help me pick out which tropical shirts I should take. I'm narrowing it down. I'm down to about 20 different ones that I'm thinking about taking. So that's what we're going to do. My wife in the Grand Caymans really likes orchids. So we're going to the big Queen Elizabeth Botanical Gardens is where we're going. They're supposed to have some very rare orchids there and flowers and all, and we like that. So it's kind of for old people. As I said the other day, it makes me feel sad that I can't go jet skiing, I can't go snorkeling anymore, and I'll tell you why I can't do the snorkeling excursion. Because you got to jump up off of the boat and then climb up this ladder to get back into the boat. I don't know if my ankle could support me trying to climb up a ladder out of water into another boat. And you got to be able to do that. And so we're trying to find an excursion that is pretty mellow, which is sad. Because I personally would like to jump off the cliffs, go to Hawaii and be a cliff diver, or take the horsebacks. We thought about swimming with the pigs in the Bahamas. I told myself, oh, we can go swim with the pigs. That seems low impact. And she's like, yeah. So we're going to swim in a bunch of water that has a bunch of pig shit in it. Oh, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, well, I really didn't think of it that way. So swimming with a pig crab. Yikes, no cliffs. I love cliffs. I like danger. I used to go caving, splunking, a lot of good things. I would do it. If my legs and heart would have let me, I would be there, man. Yeah, I will. The good news, Jim, you're correct. what I have found over the years being on the, and I know you do a lot more than I do, but there's always seems like there's somebody there helping people get on and off the boats, which I think is really nice. So, but absolutely. And I'll grab on the rails to get my big butt down. You know, I mean, I'm pretty mobile, as you guys know. It's just long walks isn't going to work for me. And if I wear myself out, then I'm screwed up for days. So, you know, my strategy on the cruise is not to get too wore out. So if I'm going to go hang out in the casino while Lorelai's sleeping, which I will do, I will take the scooter. I'll drive up to the casino and park the scooter, take the key out of it, and then I'll go hang out in the casino. And swim with the pigs and get some free milk and poo-poo. We're going to get some free milk and some free pig poop. There you go. Best of both worlds. And we've already done, you know, we've already swam with dolphins one-on-one. We've had personal swim time with dolphins. We've petted stingrays. We've been deep sea fishing, which I would go tomorrow if I could. We've done a lot of those different things around the world already, you know, that a lot of people do. We've never horseback rode because I never wanted to put my body on the back of a poor horse. I don't want to hurt the damn animal. If you have a heart condition, you're not allowed to rent the four-wheelers. You're not allowed to do this if you have a heart condition. All of these things that you're not allowed to do if you have a heart condition or a bad back. So now we're picking out the things for the old people to do, that the old people have to do on a cruise ship. But the scooter will come in handy, right? I'll be able to go up and eat breakfast with it. You know, mine folds up into like a suitcase. And then I can enjoy myself and not walk as much as on the cruise. So therefore, when I'm on the excursions, I'll be able to enjoy the excursions more because I won't be in so much pain as part of the goal. And then, of course, as you saw, we got our new luggage and backpacks. We got our new little onshore backpack. We bought that Wayfly little backpack is what we're going to be using for taking our water, towel, clean stuff, whatever we need onto the land. Tyler Dixon's back in. I'm live. Love from the UK as ever. Thank you. Thank you for coming in all the way from the UK. We appreciate you guys over there. Whether you guys appreciate us, Americans or not, let me just tell you, America still appreciates England. So we do. We appreciate the United Kingdom. We do. You guys make for great entertainment. We like it. We like it. No, we like you guys. Whether you guys like us, nobody likes America anymore, but that's okay. When somebody needs us, they will like us again. That's my theory. So, but that's exciting. I don't know if my wife is very excited about the cruise. You know, she probably just sees it as a few days off where she can sleep and not have to cook or do laundry or anything. Did the walking tour halfway through San Juan, Puerto Rico. Screw this. Yeah. I mean, and I look at a lot of that, Jimmy, I really do. You know, I know there's a lot of places that you can take a mobility scooter, and I see that, but it also limits you. It also limits you. Tyler says, let her out of the kitchen. Oh, no, no, no. My wife's not in the kitchen. I do the cooking. I do probably 90% of the cooking here at the house. So she's not in the kitchen. She actually has a job and works. I'm a deadbeat. I live off of her. You know, I send her to work to make money, man, so that I can do live streams for you guys. That's what I do. She pays all the bills. I'm a deadbeat. So, oh, here's our idiot automatic troll mathematics. Everybody, don't say hello to our idiot troll mathematics. He can't come up with anything better to say. But we're excited about the cruise. But yeah, I think, Jimmy, maybe you need to get a scooter. And like I do. I recommend the one I got. Yeah, you guys don't even worry about mathematics. But, so here we are, going on a cruise. We got the scooter. We're going to take the drugs we need. I'm going to ask my doctor for a prescription of pain pills, you know, so that while I'm on the cruise, I have some pain relief because I know I'm going to overdo it, walking and doing stuff. Because we don't want to just sit in the damn cabin. We do have a balcony, but I want to get out and about and do things and go to the shows. Now maybe the shows, I don't know if I'll take the scooter. Maybe I can walk to the shows because I don't want to park the scooter and have something, have something wrong with it. So. But our scooter folds up nicely. It's automatic. It has a key. It has a remote. But you don't want anybody to mess with things. And I know it's pretty common on cruise ships now for people to have the mobility scooters. One of the things that we did with the one that we chose and why we chose one that folds because we don't want to fight with people in the elevator. We don't want to have to deal with people in the elevator. Because I know there's a lot of people that don't like. One, they're impatient. Everybody's got to get where they got to get right now. They act like they're at work. I got to get where I got to get right now. Damn it, you people are in my way. I got to get to that buffet right now. There's not going to be any food left if I don't get to the buffet. But they're on a vacation, right, Tyler? So we got one that when you go to the elevators, we don't want to fight people on the elevator. We don't want to make people work around us. So what ours folds up into like a carry-on suitcase size. So my plan is to get to the elevator, get off of it, fold it, wheel it into the elevator like a piece of luggage with me. So therefore more people can fit on the elevator. I don't feel awkward with everybody staring down at me because I don't like that. And then I don't got to worry about everybody getting out of the way so I can back out or turn around. I can just literally like a piece of luggage spin it around and take it out. Yeah, you got to bring your own meds, right? Yeah, you don't want to buy them there. That's right. You're not stuck in traffic. You are traffic. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you're not stuck in traffic, you are the traffic. That's correct. And that's the way it is on a cruise ship. And we know this. And so I just thought, well, I don't want to fight with these people on the damn elevators. And a big part of it is I truly don't like people to stand over me. I don't like that. I don't want to be in that position when somebody is standing over me. I have a problem with that. So this one just folds up, you carry it on, you roll it on like a suitcase, and then you can undo it and go. But yeah, actually, I'll go to the doctor. I need to find out what my next appointment is. I got one coming up. I got to call my heart doctor today, by the way. But because there's something that happened with my apparently the app that a lot of these did you guys know this? I know there's a little bit of a pivot, but you guys know that there's an app like called My Portal that apparently a lot of these hospitals have linked to, so you can find your medical records and your appointment and pay your bills. Apparently that thing got hacked horribly bad. So bad that they had to just shut the whole entire app down, off. It's over, it's dead. So I got an email the other day telling me that my heart appointment coming up has been canceled. So I got to call them and find out if it's true or not. Because apparently all of that data got hacked. And so that whole entire app is now gone. Now they've had to create another one. But I got to go to the doctor. Yeah, I'll get him to give me something. Maybe some tramadols or something. I don't know what to do. But my doctor is usually pretty good at saying, like, I'm going to go on a trip for about 10 days. Can you give me something? He's like, sure, Now, if you're in Mexico, you can just go buy it yourself, right? But that's a big plan for the cruise, is to do that. And it's like, I'm just so excited. I'm going to eat bacon. I'm going to eat cheese. And I'm going to eat fresh fruit every day. 6 days in a row. I'm going to eat bacon, cheese, and fresh fruit every day. And I know they got new rules about how many lobster tails you can apparently have and all of that. Back many thousands of years ago, my wife loved going to the fancy dining room because she would just order lobster tail after lobster tail. She'd eat 10, 12 lobster tails, and that's all she would eat, for her whole meal. It's lobster tail after lobster tail. But apparently there's limits on items at the dinner at night. You can only have like 2 lobster tails. Then you got to buy the others, additionals. But I guess you can still have extra sides and things like that. So we'll see how all of that goes. But we're excited. I'm excited. I don't know my wife. I think my wife's excited about going to Miami. We're going to go to Miami the day early, and we're staying at a really, really nice hotel down by the riverfront, which I don't know if that's really nice or not, but the hotel looks really cool and it gets great ratings. It's kind of pricey. So we're staying there for one night, but we're getting there early enough that we should be able to go up and down the river and check out the restaurants and the stores. Hopefully we won't get mugged and killed in Miami, but we're going to spend the day doing that, and then we get up and go to the port, taking an Uber over. So I think my wife is more, and I'm going to try to live stream from Miami. So when we go to Miami that day, I'm going to try to do a live stream going up and down this river walk. I don't know if it's, I don't, I don't know, but I'm going to try to do a river. I'll try to do a video on the hotel too. Yeah, Jimmy said, yep, no more endless lobster tails. I know, man. My wife, I'm telling you. I mean, she may have ate up to like 16 of those damn things on our first cruise, second cruise, third cruise. But now you can't do that. So, but what I will do, my dog is snoring. But what I will do is I will order for her. Aussie Chick is in the house. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you. How are things in Australia, my friend? Thank you for being here. Thank you for the thumbs up. Looking good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I try. I think it's part of what we should do to grow our social media. We should look good. I think it shows respect to my audience, to my friends who come here and see me. So I think I gotta be, I need to trim my beard. But other than that, I look pretty good. I'm gonna do that today. But yeah, what I'll do is, if Lorelai wants to eat lobster dinner, I'll order the same thing and give it to her. And then I'll just order a side dish or more cheesecake or something. 2:48 a.m. Saturday morning. It's wintertime for you. That's right. It's summer here. We got rain yesterday, but we've had 100 degrees multiple days here recently. So it's a hot for here. But Ozzy looks good. She always looks good in her videos. Do you guys all look good? Maybe that should be a question. Do you think it's important to look good in your videos? If you're going to make a video, do you think it's important that you look good? Do you guys take any time to think about how you're going to look? I do. I try to think about my background. Am I going to blend in? Am I going to be washed out? What am I doing? I do. I try to think of that. I try to color coordinate myself. I do. I try. But so what I'm going to do is I'll give Lorelai my lobster dinner, and she can have that. And I'll just order, because I don't eat a lot, and I'll just get something else that's free. Maybe an extra piece. She'll give me here. So here's what we'll do, because we kind of do this. We'll get 2 lobster dinners. I'll give the lobster to Lorelai. Lorelai will get cheesecake for dessert. I'll take her cheesecake. I'll eat all of her desserts, and she'll eat all the main course. We got it figured out. We will, and if we get 1 free lobster tail each, I will order one, she will order one. So that'll give her like 4 lobster tails. Pretty pathetic, isn't it? Yeah, free lobster tails, yeah, formal night, that's right. So we got 4, 2 for her and 2 for me. So I'll give her my 2. See what a great husband I am, how kind and generous I am. But we like going to the formal dining room on cruise ships. We don't mind going to the cafeteria, but we actually like going to the formal dining at night. I enjoy it. I enjoy going to a place where I can actually sit down, relax a little bit, in nicer chairs. I enjoy going to the formal dining room. We're scheduled already. I think our time is open. We have an open time between 5:30 and 9:30. Because of the excursions and everything. That's a fat dog. But we like going there. We like going in, and we don't mind the dress up night. We got clothes for it. So, I know I see a lot of the young cruisers don't really get into the spirit of a cruise ship anymore. Like dressing up and being, yeah, I like that. And to be honest, Jimmy, this will probably be our very last cruise on Carnival Cruise Lines. Not that we hate Carnival, but we're getting to that age where I want my cruise ship to be nicer looking. I want to go on the nicer brands. They're more expensive, I know that, but I do. I want to have a nicer experience. When we travel, we stay at night, like the hotel in Miami is a really nice hotel. When we've been to the Philippines, we've stayed in the nicest hotels we can. So we kind of like that. We like staying in Airbnbs down by the beach, but it's kind of like the cruise ship thing. I want to go on a nicer brand. I want to have a better experience than just Carnival. So this will be our last Carnival cruise, and especially now that we're no longer VIPs or whatever. The new point system, rating system on Carnival has changed. We're going to go maybe on Celebrity. I don't know. I got to figure it out the next time. We'll worry about that next year. But next year, we're supposed to go to the Philippines. And we don't know what part of the year next year, but I'm hoping we can move to Florida or we can move to Alabama, one of the two. So we gonna move to Florida, gonna move to Alabama, maybe one of the two, somewhere like that, somewhere. But we got to go to the Philippines next year, take care of some business. We just got to take care of this business. Hopefully they'll have it ready for us next year. That's part of the frustrating things, is I'm worried that they're just yanking our chain. You understand, Jimmy, where I'm going with that? So I think I don't know, I don't trust the Philippines, how they do things. So I don't want to waste the gigantic money and trip to go to the Philippines and them go, oh, sorry, he's not ready. Or no, you can't have your deeds or whatever it is. I don't want to do that. So we got to get that worked out. But part of our strategy is when we go to the Philippines, we're not going to stay the whole month. We're going to jump over to Singapore and hang out there for maybe a week to 10 days. And if we get lucky, if we have the extra money, because this is not a cheap trip, maybe we can take one of those cruise ships for 3 or 4 days out of Singapore. And that would be really cool. That would be a lifetime experience for me to go on a cruise ship out of Asia. Because I think those cruise ships look a lot different than what we're used to from the Americas. So I'm excited about that possibility. I just don't know if we'll have the funds to do that. I just don't know we'll have the funds. Because the Philippine trip is expensive, then jumping over to Singapore, and then all of that, and then going, that's a lot of money. It's probably a good $10,000 turnaround, if not more, for the two of us. And that's a lot of money, a lot of money, a lot of money. So I don't know. But yeah, I got to, getting back to that, I want a better cruise. I want a better experience. And I don't think Carnival's bad. I just think Carnival's average. And of course, if you've sailed on one Carnival cruise ship, they're all the same, right? They're pretty much. I tried to go on Jimmy. I don't know if you bought the two Italian Carnival cruise lines that are here. I don't know if you know about those ships. I tried to book those, but none of the ships worked. None of the cruises worked for us. So I was really interested in going on those Italian ships, the two Italian Carnival ships, but I couldn't find us a cruise that worked for us. Because the disappointing thing about Carnival is everything's the same. You okay? You okay, Lily? All right. So everything on the Carnival is pretty much the same. Same color combo scheme. What is it? Something there? You okay? No, it's okay. So the color schemes on the Carnival is all the same. And I find it a little rudimentary, a little elementary, the color palette. I find the color palette not very pleasing, not very classy. It kind of reminds me of a crayon box in a way or something. So I just want to put the money into better cruises. And knowing the fact that my legs no longer work as well as they do, and I got to have a mobility scooter, if you have a nicer cruise ship to do more on, then I don't have to worry about the excursions, even though we've been on a boatload of them, that we have to take because we can be more entertained just getting off the port and going back to the cruise ship. So that's part of the logic behind having a nicer cruise ship. Yeah, I don't know if anybody thinks that or not, but I would like to take a freshwater cruise. I think would be great in Europe. My wife really wants to do a European cruise. That will be the next one we take. After this cruise that we take in October, we go to, like I said, the Philippines, and then our next cruise that we booked will be in Europe, one way or the other. Yes. Oh, I didn't know that, Jimmy. Thank you for that. I didn't know that the rooms were old and boring like the old ones. Only common areas are the Italian decor. Well, that sucks. I wanted to embrace that entire experience. That's why I was excited about it. Oh, this is great. I know the Margaritaville. Is it the Margaritaville out of Tampa? A lot of people, it doesn't get great reviews, to believe it or not. Did you know that? But I would really like to go on it because it's, Jimmy Buffett, vibe. And I love that vibe. And we were going to go on that, but I chose not to because we have such of a good discount with all of our points that we had on this Carnival cruise. But I wouldn't mind going on the Margaritaville, I think is what it's called, one of those two ships, because they look really, really, really cool and different. And I like that. So, but Carnival is just kind of old and stale. They're the same as the Horizon. All right. So nothing exciting then. So I didn't miss anything. That's good. But have you looked at the Margaritaville ship? Now, I'm not real excited about going on the Oasis of the Seas, those gigantic ones. I'm not too excited about those because, 6,000 people for me on a boat's a lot. So I do like to stick around the 3,500 people. So those don't interest me super much. The gigantic ones, which is not my thing. They may just be too big, too crowded. But this will be, I think, our last Carnival cruise. We got to move up to Princess or Celebrity or Norwegian. We don't want to go to Alaska. I would really like to go to Italy, maybe France, Greece, somewhere in that world, the Mediterranean. Well, and that's what everybody says. And I've read a lot of reviews, believe it or not. And I have. I've saw videos, and I'm like, how can that ship suck? That's my question. Why does it suck? And how are they screwing up so bad that they got that really cool looking ship and it sucks? I don't understand that. I know what people complain about. I hear the different complaints. But how can you take something that looks so cool and screw it up? I mean, it would be that theme would be the easiest to make awesome, right? All you got to do is play great music, entertain people, have good customer service, and people would just think they're on a freaking Mardi Gras. Not Mardi Gras, but Jimmy Buffett, margaritas, and sunsets and all of that crap. It has to be one of the easiest themes to manage, I would think. So I don't know what they're doing, why they're going the only one. And I mean, it doesn't get great reviews at all. It doesn't get great reviews. And I don't know. I guess if I was the owner of them, I would have to stop to go, wait a minute. We got this great product, but we suck. Why do we suck? What's going wrong with it? Pat says, oh my. Hello, Aussie. Yes, Aussie was in the house. She was. So, I don't know. It's just interesting, everybody. All right, my friends, it's noon o'clock here. It's time for me to jump off of here. I will be live at 7 tonight. Patrick, Jimmy, everybody else in the background, for all you wonderful people. Thank you all for the thumbs up. Now, I am going to continue with our new book series. I'll start a new one in the mornings. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. but we're going to get started and doing those. Hope you guys will enjoy those as much as I do. I don't know. But I don't know if anybody thinks this stuff works or not. Extra old ships, refurbished, but still crap. Okay, you mean the boat? Well, that sucks. Because it would be one of the easiest things to do well, I would think. All right, everybody, we appreciate you guys. Everybody take care. We'll see you guys tonight at 7. So you guys take care. If you need anything, just let me know. You know how to get a hold of us. Take care, guys.